All right, so now in this video, I'm going to do Y2 and Y4. I'm going to try to finish both of these actually in one video. So Y2 says, find the slope from 2 points. And again, if you were in the Zoom calls for our classes for blue, red, or green, you would have seen the slope formula. I would have given it to you. So if you haven't watched any of these videos, in order to use my Apple Pencil, I actually have to take a screenshot. So that's why you keep seeing that flashing. So the slope formula is M equals Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. And the slope, remember, you can find slope 3 different ways. You can read it on a graph. You can, if you have an equation in y equals mx plus b form, your slope is just the number that's in front of x. So like if you have y equals mx plus b, you can find the slope by just telling me what that number is and making sure it's in a fraction form. So if it's like y is equal to 3x plus 2, your slope is 3. And remember, you have to have it in a fraction form, so it'd be like 3 over 1. Okay? But in this case, they're asking you to find the slope given 2 points. Here's your first point. Here's your second point. So you just have to label your first point and your second point. So your first point, that would be, remember, when you write a point, it's always x comma y. So if you have 2 points, you have to categorize them. This is my first x, x1, and this is my first y, y1. And your second point, that's your second x, and that's your second y. So when you're plugging numbers in, you have to think, okay, my y2 is equal to 3. My y1 is equal to 1. My x2 is equal to 1. And my x1 is equal to 10. Now, you don't have to write this out. I just did it so you could see where I'm getting the numbers from when I plug them into the equation. So now I'm writing down the equation. M equals, and remember, M represents slope in these formulas. And so I'm going to plug in the numbers. Y2 is 3. Y1 is 1. So 3 minus 1 is on top. And then on the denominator, we have 1 minus 10. Now remember, when you have 3 minus 1, you can subtract that because 3 is bigger, right? So 3 minus 1 is just 2. But when you're subtracting 1 minus 10, that's where it gets tricky because 10, you can't take 1 away from 10 unless you like change that into addition of the opposite. So now you can think I have negative 10 and I have positive 1. Together I have negative 9. Or if you keep it original, the original form, which was 1 minus 10, you can think, okay, I owe 10. You add 1 to that, you still have negative 9 left in there. So you can think about it in a couple of different ways. So the slope is negative 2 over 9. You can write it as negative 2 over 9, or you can write it as negative 2/9, or you can write it as I had it in blue, 2 over negative 9. So let's go and type that, 2 over negative 9. 2 / negative 9. Let's see if they accept it. Yeah, they did. Okay, now let's try doing one more. It says, find the slope of the line passing through 1, 1, and 4, 3. So here's my slope formula. M is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And remember, my first point is x1, y1. My second point is x2, comma, y2. So the first number I need is 3 minus 1 all over 4 minus 1. And that's what your slope is. 3 minus 1 you can do, and that's 2. And 4 minus 1 is 3. So your slope is positive 2/3. So now I'm going to go to IXL, and I'm going to answer 2/3. And it works. That's all you have to do for Y2. All right, so the one I was going to do next is Y4. And Y4 says, find the slope of the linear equation. Okay, this is kind of like what I went over at the beginning of this video. When you have an equation that's already in y equals mx plus b form, your slope is just the number that's in front of x. Okay? And let's say your formula isn't in y equals mx plus b form, then you have to get it to be in y equals mx plus b form in order to see clearly what the slope is. So in this case, they tell you y is equal to negative 5x plus 1. So the slope is going to be the number that's to the left of 5. I'm sorry, to the left of x, which is -5. So you can say the slope is -5, or you can say the slope is -5 over 1. Technically, it should be this, because when you're graphing it in the next IXLs, you're going to need to have your rise over your run. Remember, slope is vertical change, and vertical is the y-axis, vertical change over horizontal change, which is the x-axis. So up, down, over, right, left. Now, if you were just to say, okay, the slope is -5, you're not wrong, but then when you start to graph, you're going to forget that it's -5 to the right one. So always put a 1 under it if it's a whole number. So -5 over 1. Let's go see that. -5 over 1. Perfect. Now, what's the slope in this case? The number that's in front of x, which is -9 over 1. Now, in this case, what's your slope? 3 over 5. Submit. What's your slope here? The number that's in front of x. So that's 8 over 3. Now, let's say you guys get an example, because somewhere down the line, I know you guys are going to get an example. I'm not even going to do this one. But let's say you get an example like y is equal to 5. Do you have an x there? No. So your slope is going to be 0 because you don't have a slope. It's 0. Okay? Now, unfortunately, it didn't give me an example like that right now, and I don't want to record a 30-minute video on this, so I'm going to end it. Just keep that in mind.